name is Scott Winters. I'm a musician, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm the CEO of Ion Concert Media. Lately, I've been working on a new film project that'll be premiered later this spring with the Wichita Symphony Orchestra. It's a project that was conceived to be part of their Young People's Program, which means that the first audience will be the school children in the Wichita schools. And in a unique twist, most of the artwork that we're using in the film was created by the students in the Wichita Public Schools. And that means that maybe some of you watching right now are the artists that drew some of the artwork that'll be seen in the film. So this film is what we call visual music, which is different than a traditional like Hollywood style film. When you go to the theater to watch a movie, you're there to watch a story unfold on the screen, and the music is there to support that story. In fact, in a lot of cases, you might forget that there's even music playing, and that's by design. In visual music, the music is first. The film is meant to be played as part of a concert experience. So people come to hear the music played by the musicians live on stage, and then there's a film that happens at the same time, synchronized with the music to enrich that concert experience. And because creating visual music is a little different than writing just a traditional film, I thought it would be interesting to make a series of videos that are behind the scenes peeks at the process of writing a piece of visual music. And since music always comes first in visual music, I thought a good place for us to start would be with a conversation with the composer. Daniel Kallman is a composer based just outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And he wrote Sea Creatures for an ensemble here in Minneapolis a number of years ago. And he joins me now on Zoom to discuss his composition and what he thinks about having a film paired to his music. Hi, Daniel. It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Scott. Thanks so much.
Yep. As I said in my introduction, you're the composer for the piece of music called Sea Creatures. And I'm wondering if you can just tell us a little bit about how this piece came about.
Sure. Actually, the piece was originally written to be performed initially at the Minnesota Zoo, so that's why we called it Sea Creatures. When I went up to the zoo, I had a neighbor here I live just south of the Twin Cities, about 30 minutes from the zoo, and one of my neighbors was actually a zoologist, and he took me around sort of behind the scenes up there in the tanks, and I could watch the animals from sort of a different perspective than you see them right in the actual bay area where you're looking through a glass wall, of course.
As the composer yourself, was there ever thought about whether visuals would be a nice component here, or did this kind of take you by surprise when we called, or what's the thought there?
Well, yeah, I was surprised because I hadn't imagined it as a visual piece. Of course, I just wrote it to be oral, but I was excited because it's a very programmatic piece. Of course, the music is intended to depict what I saw as the attitudes or behaviors of these animals when they're in the water.
What impact does it have when somebody calls up and says, I want to put a film to your score? Is it a positive or a negative?
Well, in this case, it was very positive. I think because, like I say, I knew that you had a very unique way of doing this, and it was exciting. And just from the little bit you've shown me here and talked about this project, I'm thrilled. Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
Okay, so then let's talk about the music. So if we start with the first movement and the last movement, they're kind of like the bookends, the depths and the epilogue.
You're right about calling them bookends because it's a 6-movement piece, and the 4 inner movements are the ones that focus on each of the 4 creatures. The shark movement still features primarily the horns. The moray eel was the bassoons for a little more sinister sound. Clarinets are the instruments that depict the dolphin because they're more graceful and they seem to be appropriate for that. So
let's talk about the dolphin movement. That's the one that has surprised me the most and has given me a real challenge, because coming into it, I would have assumed the dolphin movement, everybody thinks of dolphins as energetic and lively and jumping and twisting and fun. And your music is, I would describe it as melancholy. Most of it is just a solo clarinet. So it's just like one melancholy, I guess the other adjective would be graceful.
Yeah. it's right, graceful is right in my narration. And I forgot to add that each of the movements, each of the 6 movements is preceded by a narration. So I did, when I went up to the zoo and observed the dolphins, I saw, you know, first one would come in and swim, and then you know how another one sometimes comes by and they have like a synchronized swimming. That's exactly what was happening. That's why the movement starts with one clarinet and the other clarinet comes in, and they sort of follow the contour of each other's melody, and it's supposed to be graceful, cooperative, friendly, intelligent music.
So overall, though, the concept that the music is not supposed, the narrations tell what I would maybe describe as scientific, biologic facts about each of the animals. And then when we get into the music, it's really supposed to be diving into the spirit of what those animals represent. Is that right?
Exactly, more of an emotional response to their perceived behaviors or characteristics. You know, we don't know what the animals are thinking necessarily, but as humans, we observe what they're doing, and that's what I was responding to musically.
Well, I'm having a ball. Thank you for letting us do it, and we'll look forward to being able to share with you the final product.